story of the Christmas twin miracle unfolds as a poignant exploration of grief, unexpected healing, and the transformative power of love, set against the backdrop of the most joyous and emotionally charged time of the year. It begins with Bate, a woman whose life has been defined by an unimaginable loss. On a Christmas day that should have been filled with celebration, she experienced the devastating tragedy of losing her newborn twins. This event casts a long, cold shadow over every subsequent holiday season, turning a time of joy into a period of profound sorrow and painful remembrance. Bate has spent the years since rebuilding her life piece by piece, constructing walls around her heart to protect herself from ever feeling such pain again. She moves through the world carefully, her grief a constant, quiet companion, especially as Christmas decorations appear and carols fill the air. Her path takes an unexpected turn when she crosses paths with Ethan. Ethan is a powerful, successful CEO, a man who appears to have everything: wealth, influence, a commanding presence. Yet, beneath the surface of his polished life, he is a single father raising twin children alone. His life, for all its material success, is structured around the practical needs of his family, lacking the warmth and spontaneity that childhood and life should hold. The twins, having grown up without a mother, carry a quiet curiosity and a longing for the nurturing presence they have never known. The catalyst for the entire story occurs in a single, charged moment. When the twins see Bate for the first time, in an inexplicable and heartfelt burst of recognition, they explicitly call her Mom. This moment is electric, sending a shockwave through all three adults present. For Bate, it is a confusing, painful, and yet strangely compelling echo of the children she lost. For Ethan, it is a startling intrusion, but also the spark of a radical idea. He sees in Bate's gentle, wounded demeanor a potential stability for his children, and perhaps, though he would not yet admit it, a salve for his own guarded heart. For the twins, it is a simple, innocent declaration of a connection they feel on a level beyond understanding, driven by a pragmatic desire to provide his children with a stable maternal figure. And sensing a unique opportunity, Ethan approaches Bate with an unconventional proposition: a marriage of convenience. He proposes a contractual arrangement, a practical partnership where she would step into the role of stepmother. It would be a business arrangement, a solution to a problem. Bate, still reeling from the twins' declaration and moved by their innocent need, finds herself considering the unthinkable. This offer presents a chance to channel her own maternal love, which has had no outlet for years, and to perhaps find a purpose within a ready-made family. After much internal turmoil, she agrees. Thus begins their life as a pretend family. They enter into a marriage built on paperwork and mutual benefit, not love. Bate moves into Ethan's grand but impersonal home, and they navigate the awkward early days of their arrangement with careful boundaries. Bate throws herself into the role of stepmother, finding that the genuine affection blossoming from the twins begins to chip away at the walls around her guarded heart. She reads them bedtime stories, helps them with school projects, and creates little holiday traditions. The children, in their unconditional acceptance and love, offer her a form of healing she never thought possible. Simultaneously, a tentative connection begins to form between Bate and Ethan. What starts as polite coexistence slowly softens into friendship. They share conversations over late-night cups of tea, coordinate schedules for the children's activities, and find themselves united in the quiet, shared project of building a family life. Ethan, often closed off and focused on his work, begins to see the warmth and light Bate brings into his home. He notices how she remembers the twins' favorite foods, how she laughs at their jokes, and how she has filled the house with a sense of comfort it previously lacked. Bate, in turn, sees beyond Ethan's CEO exterior to the devoted, if somewhat unsure, father beneath. She witnesses his quiet sacrifices and the deep love he holds for his children. Tender moments begin to accumulate, a shared glance over the children's heads as they decorate the Christmas tree, an accidental brush of hands while wrapping presents, a moment of solidarity when dealing with a childhood tantrum. The magic of the holiday season, the twinkling lights, the festive cheer, the emphasis on family and togetherness acts as a catalyst, weaving a spell around them. The practical arrangement starts to feel less like a contract and more like the foundation of a real relationship. The pretend romance begins to blossom into very real feelings, frightening in their intensity for two people who entered this arrangement precisely to avoid emotional risk. However, just as happiness seems within reach, the past reasserts itself with a vengeance. A secret that Ethan has been concealing comes to light, threatening to shatter their fragile new family. It is revealed that Ethan's past is more complicated than he let on. The sudden, unprepared for reappearance of his ex-wife, the twins' biological mother, crashes into their lives. Her arrival is not a friendly visit. It is a threat, fueled by her own motivations, perhaps regret, jealousy, or a desire to reclaim what she left behind. She challenges Bate's place in the family, questions the stability of the home, and forces Ethan to confront the unresolved issues of his past. This crisis becomes the ultimate test for Bate and Ethan's burgeoning love. Bate, who has already suffered the deepest loss imaginable, must now face the potential loss of the family she has come to cherish. She questions her right to be there, wrestling with insecurities and the fear of being an imposter in the twins' lives. Ethan is forced to choose between the ghosts of his past and the hopeful future he has begun to build with Bate. He must confront his ex-wife, assert his priorities, and finally be emotionally honest about his feelings for Bate. The twins, caught in the middle, become the emotional epicenter of the conflict, their stability once again hanging in the balance. The Christmas twin miracle is, at its core, a story about the healing power of love in its many forms. It explores the theme of loss not as an endpoint, but as a wound that can, with time and care, become become a source of empathy and strength. Bates' journey is one of moving from a loss that defined her to a love that redefines her. The story delves deeply into the concept of family, how it is not solely defined by biology, but by choice, commitment, and the daily acts of care that bind people together. Bates' adoption of the maternal role and the twins' immediate acceptance of her speaks to the idea that a mother's love can find its target in unexpected places. The narrative also thoughtfully explores the marriage of convenience and billionaire romance, tropes common in short dramas, but it grounds them in emotional reality. Ethan's wealth is not just a fantasy backdrop. It represents the world of isolation and control he lived in before Bate. Their contractual marriage becomes a vessel for genuine emotional growth, a safe space where love can surprise them both. The titles hint at a possible miracle or supernatural connection, suggesting the twins might be spiritually linked to Bates' lost children, adds a layer of mystical wonder. Whether this is interpreted as fate, a Christmas miracle, or simply the mysterious way hearts can recognize each other, it reinforces the theme that some connections transcend explanation. In the end, the story moves toward a resolution where love, honesty, and the fierce protection of their chosen family win the day. Ethan must openly declare his love for Bate, not as a convenient partner, but as the woman who has brought light back into his life. Bate must find the courage to fight for the family she has built, trusting that her love for the twins and for Ethan gives her a rightful place. The ex-wife's threat is resolved, either through understanding, compromise, or a firm boundary set by Ethan, allowing the new family to solidify. The Christmas season, which began as a time of painful memory for Bate, is transformed into a celebration of second chances, renewed hope, and the miracle of a love that was built from the pieces of past sorrows. The film closes on a note of hard-won peace and joy, with the family, Bate, Ethan, and the twins together, embracing the true spirit of Christmas: love, family, and the promise of a new beginning. The turmoil that followed the arrival of Ethan's ex-wife, Vanessa, was not a simple storm, but a slow, chilling frost that seeped into the very foundations of the home Bate had come to love. Vanessa's presence was a masterclass in psychological warfare, cloaked in maternal concern and dripping with a polished, icy charm that contrasted sharply with Bates' warm authenticity. She did not arrive screaming demands. Instead, she arrived with expensive, perfectly chosen gifts for the twins, Lily and Noah, and a lawyer's calm precision. Her argument was deceptively simple and legally potent. She was the biological mother. She had, according to her narrative, been struggling for years to get back on her feet after a difficult period. And now, seeing the stable life Ethan had built, she felt ready to resume her rightful role. She questioned the environment Ethan had created, pointing to the sudden introduction of a stranger as the children's primary maternal figure. A marriage of convenience, she'd said in a low, cutting voice during one fraught meeting in Ethan's study, her eyes flicking to Bate with a mix of pity and contempt. "You've built our children's sense of family on a business transaction, Ethan. How stable is that, really?" For Bate, Vanessa's words were poison-tipped arrows finding their mark on her deepest insecurities. The ghost of her own lost twins, which had begun to recede in the joyful chaos of life with Lily and Noah, now rose with a vengeance. The old, haunting voice returned. "You are not their mother. You are a stand-in, a placeholder. Your own children are gone." She began to withdraw, her movements in the house becoming quieter, her interactions with the twins more hesitant, as if she were trying to erase her own footprint to make it easier for the inevitable to happen. She stopped initiating bedtime stories, deferring to Ethan, and in painful moments to Vanessa, who had secured court-approved visitation. Ethan, meanwhile, was caught in a vice of guilt, anger, and a dawning, terrifying clarity. His guilt was toward Vanessa, from a failed marriage he'd never fully processed. His anger was at her timing, her method, her threat to the fragile happiness he'd discovered. But the clarity was about Bate. Watching her retreat, seeing the light dim in her eyes as she quietly folded the children's laundry or stared out the kitchen window, he understood with a jolt that his feelings had long since evolved past any contract. He wasn't trying to protect a business arrangement. He was fighting for the woman he loved, for the heart of his family. The crisis crescendoed on Christmas Eve. Vanessa had pushed for, and through legal maneuvering, secured the opportunity to have the twins with her for a few hours on Christmas morning. It was a symbolic victory, a crack in the unity of their Christmas. The grand tree in the living room, which Bate and the children had decorated with a mix of elegant baubles and handmade paper crafts, seemed to mock them with its cheer. That evening, after a tense, silent dinner where Vanessa dominated the conversation with the twins about extravagant plans for the next day, Lily, the more observant of the two, had a meltdown. "I don't want to go," she sobbed, clinging to Bate's leg. "I want to open our stockings here with you and Daddy and Noah. This is our home." Noah, feeding off his sister's distress, began to cry quietly. In that moment, the raw, unvarnished truth of the children's hearts was laid bare. Vanessa moved to comfort Lily, but the child flinched, burying her face deeper into Bate's sweater. The room went still. The action was innocent, but devastating in its implication. Bate, her own tears falling silently, knelt and gathered both children close, whispering words of comfort, her love for them flowing as naturally as breath. It was the catalyst Ethan needed. He asked Vanessa to leave, his voice quiet, but leaving no room for argument. After she was gone, the house was filled only with the children's sniffles and the crackle of the fireplace. He guided the exhausted children to bed, with Bate's help, their usual routine a soothing balm. Once the twins were asleep, he found Bate in the living room, staring at the tree, her arms wrapped around herself. He didn't speak of contracts or convenience. He spoke of the morning he'd seen her teaching Noah how to properly shape gingerbread dough, her hands gentle over his small ones. He spoke of the sound of her laughter echoing through the hallways, a sound the house had been built without. He spoke of the way his own breath caught whenever she entered a room, and the profound, soul-deep certainty that had settled in him as he watched her comfort their asterisk children hours before. "This isn't pretend bait," he said, his voice rough with emotion, taking her cold hands in his. "This is the most real thing that has ever happened to me. I love you, not as the stepmother to my children, but as my partner, my wife, the love of my life. This family isn't complete without you. I am not complete without you." For Bate, his words were the key that unlocked the final chamber of her heart. She had spent so long defining herself by loss, by the children she couldn't have. But here, in this imperfect, blended, beautiful family, she was not a shadow of a mother. She was their mother in every way that truly mattered. She loved Lily and Noah with a ferocity that surprised her, and she had fallen irrevocably in love with the complicated, devoted man before her. "I love you too," she whispered, the words feeling like a release, a final laying down of a burden she'd carried for years. "This is my family." Christmas morning dawned bright and clear. The legal battles were not over. Vanessa's challenge would require navigation, but the emotional war was won. The four of them, Bate, Ethan, Lily, and Noah, opened stockings by the fire in their pajamas, a unit, a fortress of shared love. The gifts were unimportant. The miracle was in the togetherness, in the certainty that had replaced fear. Later, as the children played with new toys, Ethan presented Bate with a small velvet box. It held no new ring, but the simple gold band from their marriage of convenience. He took it out. "May I?" he asked. She nodded, her heart full. He slid the ring back onto her finger, this time not as a symbol of a contract, but as a renewed vow, a promise born of choice and deep, abiding love. "For real," he murmured, and she kissed him, sealing the promise. The film's closing moments show the family a year later. It is Christmas again. The house is once more filled with light and laughter. A new photograph sits on the mantel beside others, their proper wedding photo, with Bate in a simple white dress, Ethan beaming beside her, and Lily and Noah, their proud children, holding the rings. The twins are a year older, thriving. Bate, her hand resting gently on a subtly rounded abdomen, shares a soft, secret smile with Ethan. A new life, a new promise, grows within her, a symbol of a future built not on the ashes of past sorrow, but on the solid, joyful ground of a love that was chosen, fought for, and miraculously found. The Christmas twin miracle concludes not with a grand supernatural event, but with the quiet, profound miracle of the human heart's capacity to heal, to expand, and to love again. The twins' initial recognition of Bate as mom was not a ghostly connection, but the intuitive recognition of a heart meant to love them. The true miracle was the journey through loss, through fear, through a convenient arrangement, into the messy, glorious, and authentic reality of a family forged by fate, choice, and unwavering love.